What's going on, you guys? Dark Saint here with another video talking to you guys about the Division. Today is May 27th, Friday. The vendor reset has happened yet again, so this will cover what the vendors have from May 27th to June 3rd. So let's see what they have. Before I jump into that, though, I did want to point out one thing. If you go to the advanced weapon vendor, this is where you can find the new pistol, the Centurion, that actually has 3 abilities on it, so it might be worth picking up for you guys. It's not a bad pistol. I thought that it might be something worth investing into if you guys are looking for the collection of them or whatever. This is one of the named weapons that does have fairly decent perks on it, considering that it is a sidearm. But if you are looking to collect it, you can find it at your advanced weapon vendor. Just a heads up for you guys that are after it. Moving on, we're going to take a look at the special equipment vendor. Starting out, we have the Historian that's new to the inventory. Now, the Historian's not a bad sniper. It's just that the skills on it aren't in a good order. They're good skills, just not in a good order. Starting out, you have Prepared, Intense, and Harmful. Prepared requires 2,579 firearms, whereas Intense requires 2,579 electronics. And it just doesn't make sense to try and balance those out, because then that means you have to sacrifice your stamina, and not a lot of players are going to want to do that. However, if they would move Intense down to the gimme slot to where you don't require any electronics and move the Harmful out, the Harmful only requires firearms. And if you could have all 3 of them together like that, it would be a great sniper for all those that are wanting to run heavy hitter snipers, because not only could you catch the targets on fire, but you could also add bleeding damage, and it's just a nice sniper with that. But because of the way it's set up, it's very, very lackluster, unfortunately, because you can't have one firearms build and electronics build. It just doesn't make sense for running that sniper. If you're going to go glass cannon, most of the time you'll go heavy into electronics or you go heavy into firearms and leave it at that. Another one that does this is the classical AK-47. Again, not a bad build, but it does require both a high amount of firearms for the destructive and a high amount of electronics for the increased damage when using skills. So I can't say that anything here is particularly amazing. The classical M1A is something that I would consider buying if I am looking for a first-time sniper. I don't really have one that's in my inventory. The talents on this are not bad for starting out. If you guys are, below 200, you're just trying to get your hands on a decent sniper, and you have the extra Phoenix credits. If you're just starting out, it's not a bad one. For you advanced players, obviously you're going to skip over it. You're obviously looking for 204 weapons, and this one isn't the best in the world at that. However, we do have the Hunter's Faith backpack and the Predator's Mark knee pads. Both of these are new to the inventory. However, they are only 191, and their stats were okay, I would guess. As for those of you guys that are trying to level up in the Dark Zone, I would recommend the Gunslinger gloves down there at the bottom at 182. You can carry those into the Tier 2 Dark Zone and be able to run around. That is bracket 161 to 200. And these actually have the talent on them called Savage. They come with very good major attributes, including one of them that you can roll out in order to make it a little bit better. So those are gloves that I recommend picking up for those of you guys that are trying to level up in the Dark Zone. You can do that in Tier 2 by going Rogue and having a little bit more fun that way. Like I said before, they come with health on kill, critical hit damage, and LMG damage, and you can roll out that LMG damage for critical hit chance. These are fairly decent, and I even picked them up myself, as I will be doing a Tier 2 run-through with my 3rd character. So I recommend buying these, however, they're not an urgent buy. As for the new items that are added here, we have the Hunter's Faith holster, the Lone Star holster, the Predator's Mark knee pads. You also have the Lone Star mask, the Predator's Mark gloves, and the Hunter's Faith knee pads. These are all the new gear set blueprints that have been added to the base of operation. So if you guys are trying to collect them, they are there now. Either way, that wraps up the base of operation. Let's go look at the Dark Zone 02 safe house. Inside the Dark Zone gear vendor in Safe House 02, there isn't really much to look at. Most of the armor here isn't really that great. You could probably skip over it, so I wouldn't even really bother looking at it. It's nothing special. However, I will roll them so you can see what they are. Either way, as far as the blueprints go, you have the firearms mask, the electronics holster, the firearms vest, and the stamina vest. Now, the ones I would recommend picking up would probably be the stamina vest, and I will be covering a good medic build using that said vest. So if you are looking to pick up one of these blueprints, that's the one that I recommend. Anyway, let's go to DZ03 safe house and look at the weapons. Now, going over the weapons in DZ03, nothing really stood out like an urgent buy. The only one that I saw that was halfway decent was the custom M44. However, with a gear score of 163, it is easily replaced. That being said, it did come with 160% headshot damage as well as brutal, which makes it a heavy hitting sniper, especially for you guys that are running a low level. And for that matter, I would recommend buying it for that. However, it is easily replaced as it is only a gear score of 163. The other one that I saw was the Black Market RPK 74E, which had fairly decent stats and talents, given that it is an LMG, and these talents complement LMGs fairly well. However, there is a Black Market RPK 74E blueprint, so if you're looking for a better roll on an RPK, I would recommend picking that up. We also have the return of the custom M44 blueprint for you guys that enjoy the M44. It is definitely one of my personal favorites, and I will be going over the best setups for weapons shortly, and you will see those in future videos. So I do recommend picking up both of those, given that the RPK is one of the stronger LMGs and the M44 is possibly the strongest sniper and can arguably be better than the M1A if you get the right rolls on it. Moving on, we'll take a look at the DZ04 safe house. This is the one that sells the gear mods, and nothing up top really looked amazing. And really the buff that they said they gave performance mods isn't really amazing buff. Maybe we'll see some better attributes on them in the future, but these ones definitely were not that. Anyway, we have the return of the electronics gear mod as well as the performance gear mod of item level 32. For those of you guys that have not collected them yet, be sure to pick those up. Next, we'll take a look at Dark Zone 05 safe house, and this is the one that has weapon attachments. None of the weapon attachments were really all that amazing. However, for you low levels, I did notice the Pro Red Dot sight came with headshot damage and critical hit chance. This is for those that are a very low level and are still running purple items. That is a very nice scope starting out. We also have the Osprey 45 suppressor, which I believe is the first time they've ever sold this, and they have the return of the extended magazine, which if you have not collected that yet, be sure to do so, as both of those are item level 32. So be sure to pick up those items. The last safe house we'll take a look at is Dark Zone 06 safe house. Of course, we have the Final Measure knee pads and the Final Measure holster added to the list alongside the Nomad equipment. Of course, these are 191 and not an urgent buy. However, they did also add the blueprints of 214 for the Final Measure gloves as well as the Final Measure knee pads. So if you don't have those yet, be sure to pick them up. Either way, you guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys again next week on the next vendor resets.